Hello there and welcome to Tom's Warhammer Minis. The prophets of flesh are the personal coven of the infamous Urian Rakarth and a true power to be reasoned with in Kamara. Now in this tutorial I'll be showing you my take on the box art scheme of the awesome rack models and the finishing off part of my Drukhari combat patrol. All the other models, including the other racks, have their very own separate tutorials, meaning you can absolutely paint your own Drukhari combat patrol in next to no time at all. This guide is very straightforward, and that's the perfect balance of speed painting, batch painting this entire squad in a day, while still making sure that there's some absolute phenomenal detail that's showcased, be it whether it's on your tabletop games or in your display cabinet. So with that said, grab your paints, grab your brushes, let's get hot. And we're starting with our racks, this time in the Prophet of Flesh scheme. Now, to begin with, just to note, the model is primed in White Scar, and all the models are fully built and all assembled. Now, I'm going to focus mainly on the leader of the squad. Once again, it's got the most unique details. If there are other things to point out, I'll absolutely do so as we go along. But to begin with, let's start with base coating the skin, because this is the most important part to get out of the way first. And it is a bit glossy and shiny, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So to begin with, we're focusing on a small mix, starting with 1 part Darkoath Flesh, 2 parts of Magos Purple, and roughly 4 parts of Lahmium Medium. Simply mix that together in a palette until you get the nice consistency, all stirred together properly, and paint it straight over all the skin details. Obviously with the racks, you've got the feet in their open sandals, you've got the back of their heels, those are important to not forget, and then you've got the arms, the body, and the back of the heads. Don't forget under the next 2, I've often forgotten that on my previous set that I did. Now, I've talked about the glossy part. My paint has dried a little bit shiny, it's a little bit hard to see on the camera here, but just take my word for it. All this means is I didn't shake my paints hard enough. When contrast paints are a bit glossy in the finish, it just means you didn't shake them hard enough. But it's easily fixed. A matte varnish at the end will just automatically correct that. It's not an issue. But if it happens for you, I've heard this a lot, it's something I get asked a lot, just use a matte varnish. I use Storm Shield from Games Workshop's own Citadel paint range, and it just works wonders. So we'll get that done, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Next up, we're focusing on all of those warped bone details. To begin with, I've started with Skeleton Horde. Now, if you've seen my other tutorial, you know exactly what I've done on the tips here. As soon as the Skeleton Horde is applied, so say I started here where my finger is, and I've applied it to about there, wash your brush, and while it's, obviously clean, take a bit of Gore Grunta Fur, put it onto the Skeleton Horde that is wet, blend it in together, wash your brush, take more Skeleton Horde, drag the paint down and carry on painting as normal. Just creates this nice transition effect of dark to light. Nice and simple, unlike the other tutorial where I painted the spinal bits in metallics to create like a cyborg effect, I'm sticking to pure bone for this one. There's a reason why, and we'll explain that in the next step. So do that across all the models, and then we'll move on. And next up, with all those details now dried, we're taking Pallid Witch Flesh, and nice and simply, I'm dry brushing everything we've painted so far. So that's the skin and the bone, and it just finishes it off. Pallid Witch Flesh is such a nice bright colour, really good for skin tone as well as bone tones, and it just makes sense to do the whole lot in one go. So once that's done, we can move on to the next stage. Next up, across all of our racks, I'm doing all of their black armour details. Now, there's a lot to cover here, so to begin with, to explain what I've done, essentially, I've created an under there, and then I've painted the Black Templar again over it, avoiding the edges to have that highlight in place, essentially meaning all that work is now completely done. So let's talk theory and how we get to this stage. So to begin with, I've taken Black Templar, and I created a large mix in a 1-to-1 ratio of Lahmium Medium and Black Templar. The Lahmium Medium thins it down to a greyish consistency. Where you can see those edge highlights, that's the colour you'll get to begin with. Now, first of all, we're painting this over all the trousers, all the armour, as you can see across the entire model. Let that dry completely. And once it's completely dry, we're going to add the same mix again, but this time, as I said, avoiding the edges. Now, for the trousers, we haven't got to worry. I've literally painted it straight over the trousers, and because the Lahmium Medium is in a 1-to-1 mix, and the Black Templar being quite thin, it automatically will pull away from the edge highlight. It'll just tint it slightly, but the highlight remains in place. Whereas for our big armor panels like this, that second layer, I'm just painting up to the edge and leaving the highlights in place. Same for the arm, I paint that entire inner section, but leaving that first bit on the outsides in place, leaving that edge highlight. It does take time, but what it does mean is we have perfect crisp highlights all over. The only other thing to note, obviously you've got the top knot that I painted, but with the mask, what I've done, I've painted the mask the second time, but as I've gotten to the face, I quickly washed the brush off and just feathered away the paint, just to leave it lighter because we're going to be tinting that green later on. So it takes time, but it's well worth the effort because this is the result you get, and it just means it's completely out of the way. I mean, practically halfway there with the model. And next up, we're working on all of our cloth details. Nice and simple, following the box art. It's quite a dark brown, and we can match that perfectly with Cygor Brown. It's not thinned down, we're just applying it neat straight from the pot. Two of the models, again, they have these butcher aprons, and we can do that quite simply with a base coat of Nuln Oil. Just slightly darkens that white scar and just adds a lot of depth to the recess shading areas. Now, at the same time, you can notice I've done the base. Simple as, we're going to be dry brushing the details later on, and with the feet and the sort of legging sandals and stuff all done, we might as well do it now. Of course, you can always do it at the end, but as we're trying to get our models done in next to no time at all to showcase how quick and easy this combat patrol is, we can take advantage by getting it done now. When you do it is always up to you, but I've gone ahead and doing it now. Essentially, if you want to understand the full what I'm doing here and you're copying along exactly, check out my other rack tutorial because it goes in depth because it was the first one I've done. But essentially, it's Doomfire Magenta, Ardcoat over that, and then a Grella Nerf. Next up, we're focusing on all the little intricate details across the cloth and the aprons. So nice and simple for all the handles of the instruments, they're done in bone. We're taking, once again, Skeleton Horde. For all the ropes, we're keeping it nice and simple. We're just taking Agrak's Earthshade as a base coat, which is absolutely perfect for rope colour. Nice and simple. We're going to be doing all of the energy cables, which mostly go around the cloaks. So to begin with, because we don't want to spoil these details later on once they're painted, we're going to dry brush and highlight our brown cloth now. It just makes sense doing it now rather than catching all the details later on because it just spoils everything. So we're going to take Karak Stone, just very simply with a small dry brush, just catch all the different edges just to give it a nice subtle highlight. Most of it there'll be areas where it's quite flat, but there's still areas that are very subtle. It just picks out those details perfectly, and just by getting it out of the way, it means we've got freedom when it comes to all the cables without spoiling them later on. And next up, over all of our cables, vials and stuff, we're taking Striking Scorpion Green and just base coating it on. Now in the previous racks, I did Blood Angels Red. Again, if you want to do that, that's great. For me, I wanted these just to be pure green, just to give a bit of variation to the other racks. But it does make sense to do that in Blood Angels Red, should you wish to. I explained that in the other video. But getting those done means we're pretty much done with the contrast paints for now. We can focus on the metallic details. And next up, we're starting the first of our metallic details. To begin with, we're going bright. We're going with Iron Hand Steel. And these are a few select areas. So to begin with, on our main leader, you've got the Hex Rifle. You've got the ornate detailing of the barrel of the weapon there. You've got the butt of the rifle here. I've done the sort of cartridge canister bullets on the weapon. And then I've done all the blades of every model. So if you've gone with a sword or a dagger, I've essentially done that. We're going to go with poison tip colours, which we'll do in the next step. To show the Ossifactor character, you'll have seen this before. I've done the shells of the gun here in Iron Hand Steel. And for this weapon, this is the only other one that I've done. The spikes of the club, if you're using that as part of your set, I've done in Iron Hand Steel, because against the black, it just really stands out. We could go with Iron Warriors, but it's going to be too dark. It's not really going to stand out. The whole point is we want our models to stand out on the tabletop or in our display cabinet. That's why Bright Silver is absolutely perfect here. So we'll get those done, and I'm going to go on about how we're going to shade and colour those next. Next up, we're applying greens to all those Iron Hand Steel details we've just base coated. So let's start with the poison tip. This is for all the blades. I've taken Mantis Warriors Green, thinned it down into a 1-to-1 mix with Lahmium Medium, and just applied it straight over the blades. We're going to highlight it at the end, but for now, we'll let that dry, and it's done. Now for the Hex Rifle and the Ossifactor weapon, which I'll show in a second, I've simply taken Hexwraith Flame, not thinned down, we just painted it straight over. Gives a greenish tint, settles into the recesses, and just works really nicely. And same for the Aussie factor. For those bullets, I've just done the Hexwraith Flame over them. For the club, I'm not worrying about highlighting them. They're just tiny little spikes, or should I say shading them rather than highlighting. We might as well leave them in the bright silver. It just helps them to stand out rather than dulling them down with Nuln Oil and anything. So once that's done, we'll move on to our next metallic. And finally, we're finishing off all of our base coating by taking Iron Warriors. Nice and simply, this is going to be over all of our last remaining details. Now, this is all the metallics. I've done the trim around the helmet. You've got all the staples that's on some of the body parts. Anything that's not yet been painted, essentially, I've base coated in Iron Warriors. And then once it's dry, we're shading those Iron Warrior details with Nuln Oil. But we don't need to do them all. Things like staples, it's pointless. The bits on the trim of the cloak at the bottom here, there's a couple to point out. Again, you don't need to put Nuln Oil on. They're just so small, it's a waste of time, and you can leave the metallic shine in place. Which is kind of like an automatic highlight in its own right. But for all the things like the hooks, that kind of stuff, things where there's recessed detailing, we can absolutely apply the Nuln Oil on. And with that, our model is battle ready. I mean, it's way beyond battle ready. It's practically done at this stage. We're going to add a couple of extra details, a couple of highlights, a couple of technical paints, and then we can really take it to the next level. Next up, we're highlighting all of our silver, and the colour I'm using here is Stormhost Silver. Now, there's quite a lot to do, and we can be very cheeky here and take a small dry brush and just very carefully catch all the different areas. And the small dry brush perfect being the size where we can just get into those little areas, give a slight little catch on the area edges without catching all the other details. So we'll get that done and finish off our metallic details. Next up, we're focusing on the mask where they have that green tint, and that's why when we did the masks in that second layer of Black Templar earlier on, I talked about feathering the colour away so there's a bit brighter on the actual slit areas of the mask. Some are circles, some of these horizontal lines, whichever one, we feathered it away. The reason being because we're going to take Karandras Green, we're going to mix it with Lahmium Medium into a 1-to-1 mix, so it's more of a sort of gentle glaze. I'm just going to apply it straight over, just giving it a very subtle green tint. But we haven't got to feather that away because with the black already in place, it just blends in really nicely. Next up, we're focusing on all of that striking scorpion green detail. And if you've seen my other tutorials, you know exactly what we're doing here. Rather than a highlight, we want to show the liquid, we want to show the vials, we want to show the toxicity of natural light hitting it. And we can create that natural shine with a gloss varnish. And the one I'm using here is Ardcoat. Nice and simple, it's over all the striking scorpion green details. And finally, we're taking blood for the blood god. Our Wracks are bloodthirsty, very vicious, brutal machines of war and torture. They're not going to be clean. Simply, I've taken a small dry brush, worked most of it off, but rather than dry brushing, we're just stippling on. So I've stippled it on over the two aprons. So obviously you've got this one and the other model, and all of the blades, just to show they are true weapons of war. Just adds an extra detail that just really pops and works with these type of models. And with that, our models are complete. All we need to do is finish off the basing and we're done. And there we have it. The second squad of Wracks is complete. Now, having painted two separate squads, the alternative schemes work really well together. So be sure to check out my Covenant 12 scheme. Visually, they're so different and look fantastic together on the tabletop or even your display cabinet. And these are just really great models. And this scheme that I've done, it is very straightforward and just a joy to paint. Now, if this video has inspired your ideas for your own Drukhari, then be sure to give it a like. Share the video because that means others can discover this channel and all the content within, including many award-winning models that you can absolutely recreate yourselves. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest guides and tutorials. Every bit of support is really appreciated and it's vital. And to be honest, it does something truly wonderful, because supporting me means I get to continue supporting you, the awesome Warhammer community. So, until the next video, do look after yourselves, and happy hobbying.